I mentioned to you about a Holocaust survivor in Melbourne and Sydney, the biggest populations. This lady was 100 years of age, and it was called If I Survive. And what we are seeing here with William Cooper as an Indigenous man, who's actually the father of NAIDOC. He was in 1938, when Indigenous people weren't even counted in the census at that time. He gave the stand of it was actually in 1938, the night of crystal night, the night of broken glasses that happened in Melbourne. And he stood as a known protest, who this man, William Cooper, an Indigenous person, has been honoured, and even honoured in 2010 in the Yad Vashem Holocaust Museum in Israel. And so there are many, many Indigenous people like myself, but what happens is people look for wrong stories, they look for bad stories, they look for things that want to sell paper, but there is good stories. And I see the Jewish people as Indigenous. I mean, when you, as someone who's not only a business person, but also 28 years of business, but also someone who's a minister, and someone that works very, very closely with Jewish people here locally. I'm glad that we have on the streets not only the Christmas tree, but we have the Hanukkah menorah on the streets here. And you know, in the last few months, we have, I've spoken to many Jewish people that have been in our city, and I say, what made you come to Australia? They come here because they love this nation. And now it's sad to see that you know, there's like flights that's they're told, they're warned not to come into Australia. Australia is, I love this nation, but for me, standing here, and I'm sure that there are many white and black Australians who say the same thing, is this the Australian we know? And I believe that, you know, maybe the Labor government should change it as the Australian Labor Party to the Un-Australian Labor Party, because that's exactly what it is. Everything that's happening is very, very un-Australian. Quite a few years ago in 2012, I was a member of the Labor Party. I actually stood as I was the candidate for Leichhardt in 2012 until two things that the Labor endorsed me for. And I even had a letter from the Julia Gillard, who was a recent Prime Minister. And I remember getting a Christmas card from her, and she said to the endorsed candidate of Leichhardt for 2012, Norman Miller, what happened was I was told to withdraw my nomination, standing with, as the Labor in the 2012 election in the city of Leichhardt. Two things. One, I was a Christian, and the other thing is because of my stand for Israel. And so what we are seeing is, we know where Anthony Albanese has come from. We know what on many streets and many times it's been shown of his activism and his role of standing for things that are not right, standing for causes. He can stand for things, but importantly, I think he needs to stand very, very strongly for this nation, because this nation is truly lacking the leadership that is happening. And I think for the Albanese government, you know, the election can't come any quicker. And I'm sure that there are many people that, from what they've seen, I've heard of people from within the Labor Party circle starting to rip up, just as you saw my wife rip up this piece of paper here, because of unstatements that Penny Wong has made. There are people within the Labor Party ready to rip up and tear up their memberships, because they can see that the writing of the law and where this government is taking us. And this government, Albanese, will only be a one-term government. But as I said, I think the elections need to come quicker than what they are. They said May, but it could be around March.
And so just touching quickly, sorry, go on. So Donald Trump has said that obviously was for a ceasefire with Hamas and Palestine. He gets into government on January 20. What do you say to that? Do you think that will help relations between the community and internationally, Australia?
I think it's that statement by the President-elect Donald Trump. I think that the importance is that the hostages still, the Jewish hostages, And let me say, there are Americans, there are other nations of people that are in Gaza right now, Holocaust hospitals. I think it's inspired. I mean, it would have happened a long time ago. But if Hamas would have released the hostages, I think there would have things would have settled down a lot more than what it is. But you know, things would have changed. And I think that's what's going to happen. Is the hostages need to be released before there is any ceasefire.